I know I spent a lot of time educating you guys on how physical deficiencies and dysfunctions can lead to sleep issues. And although I think it's really important to focus on those things because there's not a lot of awareness around the fact that gut dysfunction, hormone imbalances, mineral deficiencies can lead to sleep issues, I want to make sure that I'm not neglecting how important your mind is when it comes to getting a good night's sleep. So today I want to talk to you a little bit how a negative sleep mindset may be perpetuating your sleepless nights. Let's face it, not sleeping sucks. It impacts your mood, your energy, your ability to concentrate, enjoy time with loved ones. But you know what sucks even more is obsessing about your lack of sleep. I know that I did when I wasn't sleeping well. The first thing I would think to myself when I woke up in the morning was, oh geez, I was up again at 3 o'clock in the morning. I only got about 5 hours of sleep and my day is going to be a total disaster. And then when I saw my husband in the morning, that's the first thing I said to him was I started to complain to him about the fact that I got very little sleep that night. And it began to occupy so much space in my mind that the fact that I was thinking about my lack of sleep increased my suffering. And I'm sure if you're not sleeping well, you're experiencing the same thing. How many times a day do you think you complain to either yourself or a friend, coworker, or loved one about your lack of sleep? I bet you it is multiple times a day. And that's normal. As humans, we have what we call negativity bias. They estimate that we have something like 20,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of them are negative. And the reason they are is it stems back to the caveman days when our environment was dangerous and we were constantly on the lookout for something that was going to cause us harm. Well, these days, we are inundated with a lot of stimulus, and most of the things that are coming our way aren't life-threatening. So this negativity bias starts to just foster a state of anxiety. And when we're anxious, as I talked about before, anxiety leads to cortisol production, the alert hormone. And it's that excessive amount of cortisol that leads to most sleep issues. And the cortisol can be caused by anxiety, but also physical imbalances, which I talk about in other blogs. But today we're going to focus on your mindset. So I want to talk to you a little bit about why a negative sleep mindset can be continuing to sabotage your sleep and different things that you can do to improve your mindset so that you can get back to sleep once and for all. So the first reason why it's important to focus on your thoughts if you want to sleep well is that, as we talked about earlier, negative thoughts causes anxiety. And when we're anxious, our body produces cortisol, the alert hormone. And if we have an excessive amount of cortisol throughout the day in our bodies, it's going to be hard to downregulate that at night to a level that will allow you to sleep. And especially if you jump into bed and you start becoming anxious about the fact that you may not fall asleep or you're going to wake up. What's going to happen is your body's going to trigger cortisol. We want your cortisol to be nice and low at night. Also, if you wake up in the middle of the night and you initially start to panic that you're going to be up for hours, again, your body's going to release cortisol, and then it's going to make a normal wake up turn into a 2-hour wake up. Because guys, we all wake up in the middle of the night. We wake up 5 times throughout the night. So next time you wake up in the middle of the night, remind yourself of that is normal to wake up in between sleep cycles, and tell yourself that you are actually sleeping. It's this little trick that can work, and it's worked well for myself and my clients, is if when you wake up, you just tell yourself, I'm sleeping, I'm sleeping, I'm sleeping. And that is going to then convince your subconscious that you're actually sleeping. And chances are you might be sleeping. Research shows that insomniacs a lot of times confuse phase 2 of sleep with being awake, because phase 2 is a light stage of sleep. So try to trick yourself into thinking, or remind yourself that you're actually sleeping, and see if that helps you to fall back to sleep, instead of starting to panic, because if you start to panic, like I mentioned before, you're going to experience a rush of cortisol. Now that leads me to the second reason why it's really important to have a positive mindset, or at least a neutral mindset when it comes to your sleep, is that our subconscious controls our sleep, and our subconscious is so powerful. Just think about professional athletes. We all know that they like to visualize their performance before they take the field, and it can have a positive impact on their success. Also, a good exercise to demonstrate how powerful your mindset could be is to close your eyes and visualize having a lemon in your hands, and peel the lemon and smell the lemon and feel the lemon skin. And I bet you while you're doing this, you're gonna start tasting lemon in your mouth. Your lips are gonna start to pucker. You're gonna feel the acidity. And that's because what we visualize, we become. So it's really important to not always focus on the fact that you're a bad sleeper, because what you focus on, you get more of. Instead, focus on the fact that at one time in your life, it's likely that you slept well. And I'm sure that although your sleep is probably not where you want it to be, it's probably not as bad as you think it is. Again, research shows that insomniacs tend to overestimate how long it takes them to fall asleep and underestimate the amount of sleep that they typically get. And again, this, goes back to the fact that we have this negativity bias, and also that we mistake light sleep for a wakefulness. So this study showed that insomniacs estimate that it takes them 30 minutes longer than it does to fall asleep, and that they were awake for an hour longer than they typically are. Fostering a neutral sleep mindset isn't going to happen overnight, and it's going to take some practice. And notice I say neutral. I don't want you to think that you're going to have to be positive about your sleep, because that's really hard when you're not sleeping well, to be positive about it. What I really want you to focus on is being more neutral. And here are 3 ways you can turn those thoughts around. So step number 1 is to first just become aware of all of your negative sleep thoughts and those messages you're telling yourself and others. What I want you to do for a couple days is just jot down in your phone or on a piece of paper every time you think negatively about your sleep. And you're going to be astonished at how often it comes up in conversation and just in your internal dialogue. Now, once you've done that, what I want you to do is I want you to sit down with these thoughts and start to analyze them. And first ask yourself, is this 100% true? Chances are it's not 100% true. So for example, if you're telling yourself, I didn't sleep at all last night, chances are you probably did sleep. True, you probably didn't sleep as much as you would have liked to have slept, but you probably did sleep. So what I want you to do instead of saying that to yourself, this is where step 3 comes in, I want you to turn that thought into something more neutral. So for example, I did sleep last night. I got a good 5 hours of sleep. And you know what? That is better than nothing. Another thought that typically comes up is that when you don't get enough sleep, it's going to affect your performance the next day. And that's usually what keeps us up at night, is when we're awake, we start to stress out about how we are going to feel the next day and how that's going to impact our daily life. And chances are, when you get bad sleep, you still get through the day, right? You still are able to do your job. You're still able to connect with your family. You're still able to spend time with your spouse. You're still able to live, and you get through it. Yes, you probably aren't performing at the level you want to perform at, but you are going to survive. So when you start to fortune tell and tell yourself all these negative things about how your lack of sleep is going to impact you the next day, what I would do is I would remind yourself of the days that you didn't sleep well and you still had a good day, or you still had a decent day. It doesn't have to be a good day, just a decent day. You still got through the day. Now, if you're analyzing your thoughts and you tell yourself, well, this thought is true. This is a negative thought and it is true. What I want you to do next is ask yourself, is this thought helpful? Is thinking this thought, is this going to help improve my sleep, or is it just going to keep me in this negative cycle? And again, if the answer is that it's not helpful, and chances are that it isn't, what I want you to do is swap it with something more neutral. So for example, if you're telling yourself, I am a bad sleeper, I just don't sleep well. Well, that might be true. You might not be sleeping well right now, but a way to swap that is to tell yourself that you have slept well in the past and your body knows what to do. And right now you're in the process of figuring out why you're not sleeping, and you're working on it, and you're confident that you're going to sleep again. Changing your mindset around your sleep is going to take time. So don't be discouraged if you don't see a positive impact overnight. Make sure that you're focusing on this every single day, because we're thinking every single day. And as I mentioned before, most of our thoughts are negative. So be patient with yourself, and eventually you are going to start becoming more neutral, if not positive, about your sleep. So if you've been doing this work for a while and you're confident that it's not your thoughts that are sabotaging your sleep, that's when you need to definitely start investigating the physical root causes of your sleep issues. And that's where my functional lab testing comes in. I am going to put a link to a great vlog that I recorded all about how functional lab testing can help you identify the root causes of your insomnia. So definitely check that out. And if you're interested in learning more, as always, you can schedule a complimentary discovery call with me on my website, Kelly Murray Adult Sleep. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope these tips translate into better sleep for you.